Welcome to a video from digitalized.com. This is a back to basics beginner's tutorial on analog synthesis, and in particular mono analog synthesis. So this is we're going to go right back to the very beginning basics of analog synthesis on a mono. I'm going to be using my Jen SX1000 here. This is a 1978 mono synth. It's great because it is basic. It doesn't have a lot of features, but it's got a great sound. It's got dual filters and some nice touches. But it's basic, and that means it's great for giving you the intro on the basics. So I'm going to do a few of these. I'm going to start off with the mono, and then I'll progress to polysynths, and maybe I'll use the Minilogue for the polysynth videos as well. So in this video, I'll put the camera over the top, and we're just going to look at how you create a basic analog synth sounds right from the beginning with a basic synth like this. It's basic as in its layouts, but it produces some great sounds as well. So let's get into the video. Okay, so I moved over here to the Jen SX1000. This is, like I said, a 1978 mono synth. It was cheap when it came out. It was cheap when I bought it in 1988, and I've got a full video all about it actually. But it is a great beginner synth for learning. It's very clearly laid out. There's not a lot of features to it, but it does sound good. So you heard you can hear it sort of playing there. And I've got it through some reverb. I'm just going to turn the reverb down so we can get sort of the raw sound. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how we create mono synth sounds and what you can create. And this is really nicely laid out. We've got an oscillator, so that actually produces the tone. We've got a filter, so we can shape the tone. And then we've got an amplifier, so you can control the output, and you can make pluck sounds or slow attack sounds and so on. And then we've got a bit of modifications we can do to it. We've got an LFO, low frequency oscillator. So that allows you to modify the tones. And we've got some noise and glide. There's no pitch bend on this. There's no mod wheel or anything. It's pretty straightforward. We've got some PWM, and I'll explain that in a minute. But that's the basic flow. It goes from here through there and out here. It's really nice and simply laid out. Because it's a mono synth as well. So what does it mean by mono synth? There's one note at a time. I can't play any chords on here. It's a single oscillator, mono oscillator. Future videos I'll look at polysynths, and but for now I'm going to stick with this mono. So mono synths are great for producing lead sounds and nice bass sounds as well. Obviously not so good for chords unless you want to multi-track it like they kind of did in the old days, where some people would actually play one note at a time. So you play the root, then you play the third and the fifth, and so on, and multi-track it like that. I am really doing that, but I'm going to show you a bit about the synth. So to start off, I'm just going to turn this resonance down, open the filter up so everything's sort of the raw sound that's on there. So this is the oscillator. So here I've got a tune in, so just to get it in tune. The next thing here is your octave. Now notice it says 32, 16, 8 and 4. They're feet lengths for organ pipes. That's where that comes from. 32 foot and 4 foot is it sort of a 4 foot pipe is smaller, so it gets your high pitch one. Modern synths, they call them sort of octave 1, -1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or something like that. But basically, if I go down there, I get low notes. If I put it up here, I can get high notes. Now this synth is quite straightforward and basic. I've got 3 oscillator types, so 3 waveforms I can choose from. What you're hearing there is the Sawtooth one. Some synths have this the other way around, but that little angle, it doesn't really matter. It's more of a brassy type sound, it's quite rich. It's got a lot of harmonics on there. It's good for basses and good for lead sounds. Then we've got a square wave. And this section here, these 2 modifiers don't do anything. It's just a simple square, kind of hollow sound. Often used for flute type sounds, also good for lead sound. You also get some good basses on. And then my favorite one on this particular synth, other synths have got sine waves and detune saws and things. This one is very basic. The other one here is pulse width. I'm going to turn this one down. I'll explain it in a second. So pulse width. So that's the square sound. And then you can adjust that and adjust the gap between the pulses. So if I go, you can hear it very noisy pots on this old synth. It's not that smooth, but you can hear as I go all the way through. So when you get to the narrowest, it's the 5%. It's a very thin type sound. You can make some clarinet type sounds, and then back round, and you can sweep that round. Now what is really good on this synth, it's got pulse width modulation, PWM, and what you can do is you can have this automatically adjusted for you by something called LFO, which is a low frequency oscillator. So the oscillator you can hear is in the audio range. This one is low, it's very slow, so it's kind of, and you can speed it up. And you can get to control things, and one thing you can get to do is control that pulse width. Like that, so I can speed this up. So you can have it quite fast. But when you slow it down, you actually get quite a nice deep tone out of it. Some mono synths have a sub-oscillator. A sub-oscillator is like an octave below, so it thickens up the sound. There's nothing like that on this synth, but that PWM straight away does enrich the sound. I think it sounds great, that, and that's why I kind of fell in love with this synth for that. I'm just going to turn that down for one sec. The other thing we've got on here is a vibrato, which is that LFO controls the vibrato, that alters the frequency. So high, subtly is moving. And it produces more naturals, perhaps if you like trying to create maybe a flute type sound. Now what this doesn't have, some synths do, is you can delay the vibrato coming in or have it fade in. This is just in or on or off. You can control it yourself, and that's the great thing about these things. It's real-time, hands-on control. Because you've always got one hand free because you're playing a mono synth. Of course, the disadvantage is we've got a single LFO, so the speed of the vibrato and the PWM, if you've got PWM, are linked together. But I think that adds to the character. So that's our oscillator section. One other thing to show on here is the glide. And let me just turn down the vibrato and speed it a little bit. And glide, or sometimes called portamento, is instead of it going from one note to the next, it kind of slowly increases. The longer the time, the slower it gets down to there. Another thing with the oscillators we've got with this synth, which mine's a bit crackly, is a noise. So we can introduce some noise. There you can hear the noise. If I can turn the oscillator down, you can just hear the noise. You can get the sort of synth noise sound. We've got white and pink. Pink's a bit noisier, but it's also a bit crackly on my synth. That should sound better than that. It's got, so good for doing, maybe if you were trying to recreate a flute sound, you can have a bit of breathiness to it. I can turn that down and bring the oscillator back in. So the next section here is the filter. So this is adjust the tone of the oscillator. So you can hear it cutting those top levels off. And if I turn this envelope off as well, so we can only just hear it. Some synths, if you turn the filter right down, you can't hear anything, but on this one it still lets a bit of audio through. So it works especially on Sawtooth. You get a nice softer sound, and then the brighter sound if I go up the upper range. And we can control that frequency to make it do stuff as well, which I'll show you shortly. The other thing we've got is resonance, and that takes that filter and pushes up like a peak on it. Sometimes it's called peak. You get a sort of squelchy sound. And this one, it will self-resonate, so it will go into a whistle. So you can get some really interesting effects. Different synth filters sound, each synth, especially the early analog ones, all have different sounding filters. This has got quite a nice filter on it. I like this, the one on the Jen. But the resonance is quite high. My noisy pots, what I mean by noisy pots is these controls are 40 odd years old and they're crackly. Now what's more interesting, oh, and the other thing you can do as well, you get that LFO which we talked about earlier, we can apply that to the filter. Some LFOs on synths as well have got different shapes. This one only has that triangle shape. Some have like sawtooths and squares and stuff like that. Nothing like that on this one. So that's one way of controlling it, through the LFO. Another way is an envelope. So an envelope is a time-based way of shaping the sound. So do you want it to have a fast attack, hear it immediately, you hit the key, or do you want it to sweep in, and that kind of thing. We've got two on Jen, which is actually quite unusual for a budget synth. One, the actual output of the sound, and one for just the filter. So I'll come back to the filter one. This is the amp envelope. So this is where I can slow that attack down. You get violin-like sound. That was the idea anyway. Or I can have a fast attack and a bit of decay, and you can kind of reduce that sound. The sustain holds that, and then release gives you that release, so it carries on playing after you release it. So we call it ADSRs: attack, decay, sustain, release. Some synths have got extra parameters. DX7 has got about 8, but this is very simple. So that's one way of controlling the output, through the VCA. But with this synth, which is something that's really good, is you've got you've got an envelope for the filter. So if I turn the filter down completely, and let's have a sharp attack on the filter and a little bit of decay, and we'll turn this envelope level up, so it's applying this filter, and they can hear it. So depending on how you control it, you can, and then apply the resonance as well. Bit of glide. So you can get some interesting effects with it. So the filter envelope, I think, is probably the best thing about this synth. It's got one of those. I especially like it if you go down to the lower octaves and put not too much resonance. You lose a bit of bass when you have the resonance. If you put it on the PWM as well, so it's got some movement. You get some great low. No effects on there at all. I do put a bit of effects on it. You get some interesting sounds on there. So that's what the amp envelope is great for. And that's really one reason I love this synth so much. It's got that separate envelope. It does give you a lot of interesting sound sculpture methods. So that's a PWM, so a pulse width modulation with a lot of pulse width modulation, slow LFO, and then using the filter envelope to control that. So like I said, now it's bass sound. And of course we can go up to the top and get those classic 70s sort of analog sounds. And then we could even get it so that we can turn the oscillator off completely. There's enough sound going through that frequency to trigger the resonance, and I can use the pitch envelope, the filter envelope to control the pitch. And there you go, there's your pew pew laser guns. You can see where they got where they created those sounds, don't you can straight away hear that. So that's where you can have some fun with the resonance on there. Let's put that back on. But if you get a nice Sawtooth lead sound, and you can use combinations, you can have the filter open a bit so you can hear it initially, and then you can sweep it in. And I can apply the LFO. And that's the great thing about a synth like this. Is you just grab the controls. There's no presets. The idea of presets back in the day was you'd write the numbers down. You could actually, for this one, you could get a card that fitted over it, showing you which settings to turn it to. And there was a flute and I think there was like an oboe sound, and it was just turning these to the right settings. So every time you play it, it's unique. You can't save these patches. You just play away with it, but you get to learn it that way. So lead sounds, turn it up. Bass sounds, turn it right down. Fatter sounds, for this synth, I would like the PWM to do that, but on many synths, the Sawtooth is a good way. So you can create some nice lead sounds with the square wave. And it's just a question of playing with it. Incidentally, if you like this synth, there is a virtual version. I don't think it's particularly expensive. I'll try and remember to include a link in the video descriptions. I have the developer of that virtual version of this on the podcast that I do as well, so check that out. But there you go. So that's my very basic introduction to analog mono synth, done here on the 1978 Jen SX1000. I'm going to move forwards on the next videos and look at polysynths. I've got a DW8000, which is a wavetable synth. I've got the Minilogue there, which is a great one for learning as well. So we'll have a look, and we can go right the way through to the multi-poly, which is the latest generation of virtual analog that's got sort of every control you could wish for. So hopefully that you found that interesting. If you've got any questions about the Jen or analog synths or in general, or any synth questions, please leave a comment, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it if you do, and check out the newsletter as well. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one.